what I mean is just trying to find any sort of rest or comfort. And I have 4% battery. Not that it matters to my circumstance at all. I'm not getting anything from this video. But something just occurred. Let's see if I can get a short battery made. Just not in a rude tone, but in a at least not in the rudest I've heard. He commented on my boat. My boat is kind of all the materials to do a proper job in oversealing it with just for people and not to look at my boat as just a black plastic boat, which it would turn into. I've purchased well, been able to do that. Insulation, just comment about the insulation. And that's obvious. That's the first thing the eye sees. But what is the eye seeing? The eye is, and we could leave it there. Or if we allow the ego to realize what the situation is, if we can pull ourselves away from the world, our conditioning, materialism, why isn't it a case of something more a bit like a childlike instant knowing to the situation? I remember as a child, I went for a meal with my family in Covent Garden, and there was this busker outside, and he was a mime artist. But he was like 60 or 70. And I don't normally like giving money, not that, that it's a problem in any way, but it's never been something that's been top of my list to give money to buskers or the homeless. But I was so moved that this man that's 60 or 70 feels that he has to come out and busk for money at his age when he should be home with his family and everything else. And I kept pestering my dad, can we give him money? Can we give him money? I remember how emotionally moved I was by this man as a child. And that's what I saw. I didn't see just a mime artist. I didn't even see his act. But I saw the truth of the situation. Somehow, when we become older, we forget what it means to be human from the perspective of the eyes of our child nature. And instead we see materials. Instead we see a half-finished project. Instead we see any... I've heard it countless of times. It's unbelievable. Hardly ever are they offensive, but it's always inappropriate, because I know the pain that I'm going through, the want more than anything for myself, for others, to finish and have AstroTurf on there. And I've got little fake flowers that I found that I want to make like a fake garden on top. But somewhere within our humanity, this world, it kills us. And we forget ourselves, we forget what it means to be human. to such an extent we're willing to comment. And that's the big problem. Why do we open our big mouths and say things about stuff when we have no idea of the situation? Obviously, the gentleman is lacking a certain level of consciousness because my window is open and I can buy. But that's what this world does. That's what life does. It corrupts us. It corrupts our hearts because we have a means to express. What he said to his friend wasn't a problem. But what happens if he asked a different question? Something a bit truer to being human. Oh, I wonder if that guy's all right inside. Guy, girl. This is schizophrenia, what I'm doing here. This guy. That's an interesting finish. Let me cover the truth of the situation. That the people, that human being, that is likely got it hard up. And I can do all of that with a quick comment. That's not an initial interaction has been plagued. It's become sick. Dehumanizes us. But what we share this world and what means that is possible. Can you see the corruptedness within socializing? It's that shocking. Because Brighton is a hippie kind of vibe. So never listen to it. That just comment. You don't make comments about other people. Here in London, you take the piss out of everybody. Because I walk down the shops, I don't know if I've got to shout at the shopkeeper because they're having an off day because of the last, God knows. I'm sure it happens in Brighton too, but it's not likely it's quite so much. So I'll leave it with you. Yeah. And see if there's a little bit of a recalibration that's needed to stop yourself being a fucking imbecile. Just being yourself, the human being that's inside. Believe me, to be a bit more childlike and compassionate to the outside world and to see something and say, I wonder if they're okay inside and their own life hasn't been ripped apart. What happens if we make all of socializing, the words that are spoken to people's bodies, this unpleasant second world is taking the lead. Anyway, how can I be reborn again? That's my thinking.